Hello, my name is Jade King, and this is my presentation on my interview with a professional. The professional I decided to interview is my boss and mentor at the company titled The Reason for Hope ABA Therapy Center is Hellen Adedipe. Hellen Adedipe is a dedicated professional with a background in applied behavioral analysis. She has a graduate degree from the University of North Texas in the field of behavioral studies. After completing her studies, she opened an all inclusive ABA clinic that offers a variety of services, including ABA, speech, and occupational therapy. As a business owner and BCBA for the past 16 years, Helene manages the day to day operations of her three clinical locations while balancing full time studies. She is currently pursuing additional educational certifications to become a diagnostician, further expanding her expertise in the behavioral healthcare field. My first question was, what inspired you to pursue a career in applied behavioral analysis and open your own clinic? I've heard the story previously from Miss Helene at different educational workshops and while interviewing and introducing new employees to our location. She was a psychology undergrad major and began working at an ABA therapy center. During this time, she became an in home clinician, traveling across different areas of Brenham and Houston in order to service her clients. As she got older and grew in the field, she was mentioned to by another client's family that they would love if they were able to go to a central location in order to receive all of their child's specialized services, and that they would follow her as her career progressed and she moved on to bigger and better things after graduation. This led to her sitting down, researching, and finding out what it took to become a professional BCBA and began the journey of opening her own services. Question 2 regarded ethical guidelines and practices in the field of ABA and the therapy services she offers. In order for our business to stay running and have state required licensing, and her personally as a BCBA, whether she continues to own a business or if she became a contract licensed professional, is the BCAP Board of Certification. This is a website that details where you can receive your certifications, what you must do to maintain your certification every 6 months to 1 year, what educational preferences and background are needed to further yourself within the board, and what guarantees how clients are treated during their services, including billing when it comes to dealing with insurance companies and proper phrasing when providing therapy services. Question 3 regarded how Helene stays up to date on latest research and practices in ABA speech and occupational therapy. I knew previously, just from being a registered behavioral technician under Helene as a BCBA, that she had to stay in regulations with the BCAB, BCAB organization. But something I learned that I did not previously know during our interview was about CAS, the Council for Autism Service Provider, as well as the APBA, the Association of Professional Behavioral Analysis, that have conferences and webinars. Question 4 was in regards to HIPAA regulations and working with clients in a therapeutic setting. As an individual who works as a lead technician, training with Helene as a BCBA, a lot of our HIPAA guidelines refer to avoiding the use of full names on any documentation that we have that will exit our building or be inputted into an electronic system. Um, Under Helene, we have been trained to use paper data for all of our initial intake information that is kept in locked cabinets at our office. Anytime we travel, of course, we take regularly updated HIPAA courses once a year that inform us to use locked boxes, locked briefcases, and to lock records in areas such as trunks of vehicles when having to transport between the three locations. Um, Also, only information of the client is shared with family and other certified with the state providers in their healthcare field. Um, One thing Miss Lane mentions is being that she is a BCBA, she has to communicate with the speech pathologists, with the OTs, with physicians and pediatricians, and all of that requires really strict guidelines in order to protect the clients. Question 5 was in regards to balancing professional responsibilities with personal faith. As mentioned, I will be reading her quote entirely in order to properly show her response in regards to faith and professionalism. Helene, I think for me, there was never a question of whether or not I like being a Christian. For me, it's just who I am. I cannot separate the two. You know what I mean? I can't say, oh, I'm only a Christian on Sunday or I'm only a Christian on Christmas, Easter, and Mother's Day. That type of thing. I'm a Christian always. And so for me, I wanted a work environment that I could be who I was. And that's why I wanted a Christian work environment, because I would struggle to not be able to talk about God in a professional setting. We are able to talk about faith at work because it really gets us through the day, especially hard days or days where you know somebody's doing something wonky. And when I say somebody, I mean like an adult, so it's such an integral part of life that there's just no separating the two. Questions 6 and 7 were asked in a way that her response to 6 carried over into the topic for 7. What role do you believe faith plays in the therapeutic process? And as a business owner, what measures did she take to foster an ethical and supportive environment? This is something we do several trainings over, and we truly believe in creating an environment where we are a close knit team, family, and are working as a group of friends. Helene mentions that she understands with empathy fatigue that not everybody is going to wake up and immediately want to come to work. That through our combined faith that we use and teach the children daily, and through the professional friendships we establish, some mornings it helps when you're exhausted and you wake up and you're there and you see your support system, then it's a lot easier to get through the day. She says, of course, there are going to be some days where we don't really feel like doing this, but once you get there, you're around your coworkers and your leaders and everybody's pleasant, it just makes for an easier and smoother day. She mentions that we kind of have a golden rule to treat others how you want to be treated, and that everybody is given grounds for respect and making sure that they feel heard during our workday. Question 8 was in regards to advice Miss Helene would provide an individual looking to grow as a professional in the field of psychology, or specifically becoming a leader, a BCBA, an RBT, etc., in the field of ABA. Helene highlights that there should be a passion for it, a genuine want and need to help individuals. As this field grows, more people are getting into the field for the monetary value of working with these families. But at the end of the day, because of the level of empathy required in order to service these families properly, an individual must truly have the desire and the passion to work in this type of field and to see the progress that grows with these clients every day, while understanding that it's not always going to be easy and you may not always see the immediate progress when working with these clients. I do highly recommend taking the time to pause the video and to read her complete statement. I think it was very beautiful listening to a professional I work under speak about the passion she has for this industry. Question 9 was a small turn in the interview, even though it was coming to the conclusion and the ending. I think I got to see a more vulnerable side of the professional I was interviewing. A lot of the times when we discuss future, we discuss the most hopeful sides. I do think as a professional, sometimes we see the best and the worst. Helene's response was definitely geared towards her current feelings of the possibility of the worst case scenario for the future rather than the best case scenario. With corporation growth in ABA and the limitations set by insurance companies, it does feel hard sometimes to provide the right services to clients and their families. Um, I think as a young person and a student growing in the field of psychology, imposter syndrome is prevalent. And I think during this conversation, I got to see a professional who I idolize and sits over me in a more vulnerable, everyday human standpoint. And it really opened my eyes to the struggles that come with the field of psychology and providing help to clients. All right, question 10, last question of the interview, was completely centered around cultural competence and how Helene creates a diverse background and addresses potential biases in her practice. She states that she does in this field tend to hire women over males, but a diverse background of women who work with these adolescent clients every single day from different areas of the world, different states within our country, all with varying Christian backgrounds. One thing she did mention is a lot of our clients do come from out of state. So something as small as Go Texan Day or a day to learn about show and tell of their cultures truly kind of brings the environment in together. We want our clients as well as our coworkers to feel included and celebrated. I do love at the end of our conversation, she stated that it is so important celebrating differences and that it's okay that somebody doesn't look like you. It's actually quite beautiful that they look different than who you are. And I think that was a great way to conclude this professional interview. I want to take this time to say a huge thank you to Hellen Adedipe. I highly recommend looking and researching her career. Um, She is an absolutely beautiful human being who is growing and learning daily. I cannot thank her enough for taking the time out of her busy schedule to sit down and have this one on one interview with me about her growth as a professional. Thank you so very much for watching my presentation. I do apologize for the deep breaths and the pauses in between as I've been battling the flu for the past 2 weeks while preparing this presentation. I wish everybody the best in this course, and thank you so much for viewing my project. God bless.